What's up, guys? Jason of New Age Revolution down here in the cave for a TN80'sR Power Hour. Yeah, that's right, where you become part of the channel by asking questions or sending in video questions, which we will debut. Ooh, that's strong. Oh, God. Which we will debut tonight. Let's let the ice cubes melt a bit on that one. All right. Yeah, video questions tonight. The Sears wish book is going well. I've gotten to like right here. This is how far in I've, not this part, but this part. That's how far I've gotten in. And there are two things on my must-have list, and I haven't even hit the toys yet. So they're very, very. I guess unusual, not unusual, but they're you know, you go through this catalog and you're looking for 80s stuff, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find it, and then you're gonna go, oh man. You know, I want that, but you wouldn't normally get it. So if I didn't get this catalog, there was no way that I would have ever purchased the two items that I have on my list to purchase so far. I would have never gotten them. But when they come, I'm gonna love them, right? You'll see. It'll all work out. All right, let's do the update. There's not much of an update. I still love my cable box that I'm staring lovingly at. Well, you know, Christmas shopping has begun, right, for the Nuggets, despite it being September 5th. That's actually, that's the right time, I think, to begin, right? So I'm good with that. What else? I'm watching that movie Dash Cam, the Blumhouse feature that Walmart is selling for $14.99 on DVD. Still quite strong. Just threw some vanilla vodka and some ice cubes onto some tonic water, or some peach, you know, seltzer water, whatever they're called. It's almost like there's no peach or ice cubes. It just tastes like straight vanilla vodka. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Dash Cam. Dash Cam. I'll talk about when we do the next physical media update. Hated it, and then started liking it, and then fell asleep. So I will finish it. Hated it with a passion for the first few minutes of it, and was going to throw it out, literally throw it out. But it started to get creepy and weird, and now I'm just enjoying the creepy weirdness of it. Okay, let's get to the questions first. All right, first we'll do the video chat. So here, check out my man Tom Campbell. That's right, my man Tom Campbell, who is the loving brother of our first Hall of Fame Celebrity Wing inductee of the channel, the Jackhammer Bobby Campbell, and Tom Campbell. He says this. Check this out.
What's up, guys? I'm Jason Nubb down here in the cave, just doing my Jason Nubb impression. Anyway, Jason, I know you're looking for some questions. I got two questions for you. First question: if you could be a wrestler for a day, any wrestler, what wrestler would it be, and which match and event would it be? So let's say you wanted to be Hulk Hogan, and you wanted to experience, let's say, WrestleMania 3, wrestling against Andre the Giant, and you want to experience what Hulk Hogan experienced, walking out that curtain, the music's dropping, crowd is going crazy, electricity in the air, and you get to wrestle Andre the Giant, WrestleMania 3. I want to know, which wrestler would it be, which event would it be, what match would it be? My second question, which is going to be similar to the first one, but it might actually have a different answer, is I want to know, which match would you want to referee? So if you could be the third man in the ring for any event in the history of wrestling, you could go back in time, you're the man, you're the referee, you're counting someone out, you're going for that pinfall, 1, 2, 3, counting, so whatever, you're the referee, you're the man in the ring, third man in the ring, what event, what match, I want to know, referee and wrestler, who would you want to be for a day?
All right, yes. My man Tom Campbell, his YouTube channel is called Turn It Up Tuesday. That's right, and they do all kinds of funky things over at Turn It Up Tuesday. It's not necessarily a toy channel or an 80s channel, but he's got a bunch of stuff. He's got a show called Do You Smell That? I don't know where we could go with that. Do you smell that? He, of course, has cornered his kickboxing champion brother many times, and if you want to hear some tales from a corner man, go check out Mr. Campbell and Turn It Up Tuesdays. That's right there on the YouTube. So his questions, as you heard, I love the Campbells, by the way. I love them both very much. Bobby, Tom, great guys. I would love to go to one of Bobby's fights and hang out with the whole Campbell family. If he does fight again, I would love to be there and hang out with Thomas and Robert, the Campbells. If I could be a wrestler for a day, what match and what event? The example he gave, Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 3. Sure, that's the go-to answer for most, I would think. But no, I don't think so. I think, and the referee question will probably be along the same lines. I experienced live events, and as a kid, and would get all the WWF pay-per-views, the big four, right, 4 times a year. And so watching WWF from an early age, I got used to their production style and their lit up high value production, right? Probably from about 86 on, they were different. They were producing more visually appealing shows. What I'm getting at is I would have loved to, if I was a wrestler, I would have loved to experience the opposite of that. I would have loved to have experienced like the NWA style of Dark Arena. I've mentioned this before. Dark Arena, very low production value, very very little glitz and glamour, if any. And then felt what that atmosphere was like. I would have liked to. So to answer the question correctly, I guess probably an early Starrcade I would have wanted to be a part of. Maybe Dusty Rhodes versus Tully Blanchard. One of those just dirty, bloody matches. Obviously maybe a Ric Flair. Main eventing Starrcade. And just doing that thing, and then just feeling like what it's like to be in the back with all those guys just hanging out and doing that whole deal. So I would say probably let's just say, I don't know, I would probably want to be a good guy to feel that energy from the crowd. So let's go like a Dusty Rhodes at a Starrcade, an early 80s Starrcade, 85, 86. I think I would have wanted to feel that energy. And what ref and what event? Well, look, if I'm going to be a ref at an event, I don't know, are referees wrestling fans? Do they got the inside scoop, so it's not like they're surprised by anything. So I guess it wouldn't just be like a big match. I'm a part of WrestleMania. I guess I would want to be a referee that got involved in a storyline. And, the two that I can think of obviously the most would be Danny Davis and the Hebner brothers from, the Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant deal with the evil twin referee. I guess that would, as simple and as probably cliche as that answer is, I probably would go with the Hebners on the main event, Hogan Andre, because that was it for them. Like, that's the peak of the mountain. That's, you've gone above and beyond the referee deal, right? You're a referee, you know, you're not part of the action. But in that case, you are the stars of the show practically, and you get to really act and ad lib. And you know, when Dave and Earl are staring at each other and doing like the dink and doink thing, or dink and evil dink, I don't know, doink and dink, whatever. You know, mimicking each other, and you know, everybody's puzzled as how could this happen? Because I guess wrestling fans forgot the concept of twins for a little while. Oof, that's still strong. I'll man up in a minute. Don't worry. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with the Hebners during the main event. Hogan Andre. The next video question, my man, Collectors Entertainment Network. Yes, that's it. That's his YouTube channel, Collectors Entertainment Network. Go check it out. Great, you know, great dude, great collection. Well, here, check out this question first.
Hey, Jason and the New 80s Revolution, friends of the channel. I am Anthony from Collectors Entertainment Network, and I have a question for you. As the host of From the Pages of WWF Magazine, here on Collectors Entertainment Network, I talk about WWF Magazine a lot, and I show them all off. Here is the first WWF magazine I ever got. I was 10 years old, and this is the first one I ever got. But it is not the first wrestling magazine I ever got. In fact, I've got a picture I'll bring up here of me as a kid with my first wrestling magazine. It was a Pro Wrestling Illustrated. But unfortunately, while this is in good shape, that Pro Wrestling Illustrated kind of looks like this now. But it's still here. I don't have the cover. Most of it's intact, but it's the first one I ever got. So this is the first one. But that brings me to my question. How important were wrestling magazines to you? Both WWF and all the other ones, now, you know, referred to as the Aftermags, but there were so many other, like Wrestling's Main Event and stuff like that. They were an important part of my childhood, my WWF and my wrestling fandom, getting my hands on a new magazine and reading it from cover to cover. So do you have any memories of like the first wrestling magazine you ever got? And if so, you know, tell me what that is, but also just what did they mean to you as a kid? Because they were huge to me as a kid. All right, that's my question. Hope you can answer it, and can't wait to see it. Thanks.
All right, great question. Collectors Entertainment Network. Now, look, you saw him in that video pull up his old magazines, his old PWI, his old WWF magazine. Collectors Entertainment Network. You could take this whole thing, pack it all up. I would give it away if I could have some of the things that Collectors Entertainment Network has. What am I talking about, of course? Well, if you go back and watch some of his old videos, or whatever, previous videos, he actually has documents, handwritten kid documents from his childhood, his super cards, his LJN action notes. He has notes on when and where he got figures. Huh? He has, that would be like me finding a notebook that says, wow, today was a great day. I went to Kitty City and got that LJN steel cage. I'm so excited. Holy cow, what a gold mine that stuff is. To have your old paperwork from when you were a kid, your old notes, your old Christmas lists, your old LJN notes. He's got that stuff. That's mind-blowing to me. Well, simply how important are wrestling magazines? Oh, man, they were massive. I've told a few wrestling magazine stories on the channel. I would go grocery shopping with my mother, and while she grocery shopped, I would, head over to the magazine aisle, which was, so much better than it is today, obviously. We, barely have magazines, I think. But at one point in time, I'd go over to that magazine aisle, and there would be 6 or 7 different wrestling magazines there. All the After magazines, the wrestling, one was called Wrestling Superstars, or Superstar Wrestler, or something like that, and they would do a wrestling dream match, a superstar dream match, which at the time was a big deal because, the organizations were so separated. So, to see a match like Hulk Hogan versus Lex Luger, from like 1987 would blow your mind because no way that's ever going to happen. But now there's no such thing as a wrestling dream match. But back then, those articles were awesome to read, because they would talk about how the match got set up, then they would do the match, and then they would talk about the undercard, which was just so great. It just blew a kid's mind. But yeah, I would sit there for an hour while she shopped, and the disgusting part of the story that I always tell is that the bulk candy department was right next to the wrestling magazines. So 10-year-old me would walk over to the, and they kept a lot of the bulk candy in like, big brown barrels, right, with a lid on them, and like the little scooper attached to the lid. You're supposed to get a bag and put your, but no. 10, 11, grubby, poopy hand me would grab a handful of those Sour Patch Kids, put them in my pocket, and go sit at the magazines and read them and eat the Sour Patch Kids that I pulled from the bulk candy bin with my hands. That I likely peed on, a couple hours earlier. Yeah. So, boy, they were very important. Now, at another stage of life, after I had stopped doing that, my grandfather worked at, like a transmission shop, and he was, buddies with all of the store owners within that particular area, right? So, because it was in the city, it was a different, it wasn't like a busy street, with like a mall or something. It was in the city, and there was like a deli, and there was a newsstand, and there was, a sporting goods store, and he knew, they all got to know each other, right? So he worked some deal with the magazine owner, the newsstand owner, and once a month he would bring home a box filled with wrestling magazines, because the shop owner would give him all like the old copies of magazines. But the deal was, and I don't know why this was the deal, I never understood it, they had to rip a third of the cover off, almost like damages, right? They were damaged out. So every one of the magazines that I had at a certain period of time, if you went through my whole collection from like age 12, 13 on, all of my magazines had a ripped cover, because they were from this newsstand, and I would just get them for free. So imagine being, the biggest wrestling fan in the world, and getting a box of wrestling magazines once a month. Not two, but, 16, 17 magazines. Full color posters. I guess these newsstands had more magazines than, your standard grocery store or whatever. So that was awesome. I loved wrestling magazines. They, you get introduced to other territories. At one point in time, I probably had, 50 or 60 pinups on my wall. The little 8x10 posters or 8x11 posters that came in the magazines, the good magazines, the more expensive ones with the full color centers. All over my walls. And so they were huge. Wrestling magazines were huge. So go check out both of those guys. Turn It Up Tuesdays and the Collectors Entertainment Network on the YouTube. They are both good guys, both good friends of the channel, friends of mine, friends of ours, that kind of deal. So yeah, good people. Go check them out. And thanks for the video question. I like those. If you guys want to be a part of this, get your questions in. Get them via, Messenger, video, whatever. It's TN80'sR questions at gmail.com. Speaking of that, let's do it. My man Carlos R.C. D'Amatos. Been a long time friend of the channel. Awesome dude. He's got a whole bunch of questions here for me, so let's rip through all of them. He says, oh man, he's getting serious right here. And he even says, sorry if the questions are somewhat depressing. I love those kinds of questions. Number 1, what's your greatest fear? Ooh. man, oh man. Geez. Aside from the obvious stuff like something happening to the children or something like that. I mean, if you're a father, that's your greatest fear, hands down. So we'll just knock that one right out. That's the easy answer. But, for right now, I think being the sole financial provider of this household, and I have been for 10 years. Many of you know that we homeschool the children. And, so when we had Liam 10 years ago, his mother tried to work. We both worked. She tried to work. We would drop him off at a stay-at-home mom kind of daycare deal. Well, I think she only had like 2 kids or something. We dropped him off for about 3 or 4 weeks, maybe less. And she just called me up one day and said, I can't do this. And I was like, yeah, me neither. I hated dropping him off too. It was awful. And so she quit her job 10 years ago, and I didn't. So that's when I opened up my practice and did that part-time, and then went fully self-employed 3 years ago. Now, the self-employment has been a whirlwind. I mean, it's been, the best financial decision I've ever made in my life, hands down. It put me to a financial level that I never really thought I'd be at. And with that comes stuff and things and purchases and more expensive vehicles and blah, blah, blah. And, what am I complaining about? I'm not complaining. But now the fear is, can I sustain this position? In my business now, if I call out sick, well, first of all, there's nobody to call out. I'd have to call my patients and tell them that I can't come to work and reschedule them. But I don't get paid for that day, right? You can't bill an insurance company if you've canceled. You can't bill an insurance company if the patient cancels. So I don't get paid, right? So when we go away for 10 days to Universal Studios in December, I go 10 days without getting paid. So you have to plan ahead for that. So the biggest fear is losing that, everybody gets healthy mentally and doesn't need me anymore. And I lose my patients, or I lose my good standing in the field somehow. I don't know. Or if insurance companies someday go bankrupt, belly up, and they don't pay me anymore, that's a big fear, because it would change everybody's life, and I carry the family on my shoulders, and while I welcome that, it's also fearful, right? So I guess right now that would be my biggest fear. Number 2, he says, what are still your biggest goals in life? Let me just check the time on this. Oh man, it's a lot shorter than I thought. Let me come back and answer that as I clear out some room on this SD card and get this going a little bit more. Biggest goals yet to have still. Let me think about that.